Namaste, Dhanavad Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master on Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 4, the Fourth Order, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 12, Text 7. Vranihi kamam nripayan manogatam matastvam atunapade vishankita paramvarahomum janaba padayor anantaram tvam vayam angasushruma. My dear Dhruva Maharaj, son of Maharaj Uttanapad, we have heard that you are constantly engaged in transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known for his lotus navel. You are therefore worthy to take all benedictions from us. Please therefore ask without hesitation whatever benediction you want from me. Purport. Dhruva Maharaj, the king of Uttanapad, the son of King Uttanapad, was already known throughout the universe as a great devotee of the Lord, constantly thinking of his lotus feet. Such a pure, uncontaminated devotee of the Lord is worthy to have all the benedictions that can be offered by the demigods. He does not have to worship the demigods separately for such benedictions. Kuver is the treasurer of the demigods, and he is personally offering whatever benediction Dhruva Maharaj would like to have from him. Srila Bilvamangal Thakur stated that therefore that for persons who engage in devotional service of the Lord, all material benedictions wait like maidservants. Mukti Devi is just waiting at the door of the devotee to offer liberation, or more than that at any time. To be a devotee is therefore an exalted position. Simply by rendering transcendental loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can have all the benedictions of the world without separate endeavor. Lord Kuver said to Dhruva Maharaj that when he had heard that Dhruva was always in samadhi, or thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. In other words, he knew that for Dhruva Maharaj there was nothing desirable within the three material worlds. He knew that Dhruva would ask for nothing but to remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord constantly. Dandavat Pranam Om Devi.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Coming to us from the foothills of Mysore.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
I said, you are coming to us from the foothills of Mysore.
Yes.
Maitreya Uvacha Saraja Rajena Varaya Chodito Dhruva Maha Bhagavato Mahamati Harosa Vavre Kali Tam Smritam Yaya Taratyatena Durata Yayam Tam Maha. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, when thus asked to accept the benediction from Kuver, the Yaksharaj, the king of the Yakshas, Dhruva Maharaj, that was most elevated pure devotee, who was an intelligent and thoughtful king, begged that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for thus a person can cross over the ocean of nescience very easily, although it is very difficult for others to cross. Purport. According to the opinion of expert followers of Vedic rites, there are different types of benedictions in terms of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. These four principles are known as Chaturvargas. Of all the Chaturvargas, the benediction of liberation is considered to be the highest in this material world. To be enabled to cross over material nescience is known as the highest Purushartha, or benediction for the human being. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a benediction which surpasses even the highest Purushartha, liberation. He wanted a benediction that he might constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord. This stage of life is called Panchama Purushartha, when a devotee comes to the platform of Panchama Purushartha, simply engaging in devotional service to the world, engaging in devotional service to the Lord. When a devotee comes to the platform of Panchama Purushartha, simply engaging in devotional service to the Lord, the fourth Purushartha, liberation, becomes very insignificant in his eyes. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has stated in this connection that for a devotee, liberation is a hellish condition of life. As for sense gratification, which is available in the heavenly planets, the devotee considers it to be a will-o-wisp, having no value in life. Yogis endeavor to control the senses, but for a devotee, controlling the senses is no difficulty at all. The senses are compared to serpents, but for a devotee, the serpent's poisoned teeth are broken. Thus, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has analyzed all kinds of benedictions available in this world, and he has clearly declared that for a pure devotee, they are all of no significance. Dhruva Maharaj was also a Mahabhagavat, or a first-class pure devotee, and his intelligence was very great, Mahamati. Unless one is very intelligent, one cannot take to devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Naturally, anyone who is a first-class devotee must be a first-class intelligent person, and therefore not interested in any kind of benediction within this material world. Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by the king of the kings, Kuver, the treasurer of the demigod, whose only business is to supply immense riches to persons within this materialistic world, is described as the king of kings because unless one is blessed by Kuver, one cannot become a king. The king of kings personally offered Dhruva Maharaj any amount of riches, but he declined to accept them. Therefore, he is described here as Mahamati, very thoughtful or highly intellectual. Text 9. Tasya pritena manasa tam dat vidastata pasyaton tardadhe sopi swapuram pratyapadyata. The son of Idavida, Lord Kuver, was very pleased, and happily he gave Dhruva Maharaj the benediction he wanted. Therefore he disappeared from Dhruva's presence, and Dhruva Maharaj returned to his capital city. Purport. Kuver, who is known as son of Idavida, was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj because he did not ask him for anything materially enjoyable. Kuber is one of the demigods, so one may put forward the argument, why did Dhruva Maharaj take a benediction from a demigod? The answer is that for a Vaishnava there is no objection to taking a benediction from a demigod if it is favorable for advancing Krishna consciousness. The gopis, for example, worshipped Katyayani, the demigoddess, but the only benediction they wanted from the goddess was to have Krishna as their husband. A Vaishnava is not interested in asking any benediction from the demigods, nor is he interested in asking benedictions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said in Bhagavatam that liberation can be offered by the Supreme Person, but even if a pure devotee is offered liberation by the Supreme Lord, he refuses to accept it. Dhruva Maharaj did not ask Kuver for transference to the spiritual world, which is called liberation. He simply asked that wherever he would remain, whether in spiritual or material world, he would always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Vaishnava is always respectful to everyone. So when Kuver offered him a benediction, he did not refuse it, but he wanted something which would be favorable to his advancement in Krishna consciousness. Text 10. Ataya jati yagyesham kratubhir buri dakshinai dravya kriya devatanam karma phala pradam. As long as he remained at home, Dhruva Maharaj performed many great ceremonial sacrifices in order to please the enjoyer of all sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prescribed ceremonial sacrifices are especially meant to please Lord Vishnu, who is the objective of all sacrifices and who awards the resultant benedictions. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 3.9, it is said, Yagyartat karma non yatra loko yam karma bandhana. One should act or work only in order to please the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, one becomes entangled in the resultant reactions. According to the 4 divisions of Varna and Ashram, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are especially advised to perform great ceremonial sacrifices and distribute their accumulated money very liberally. Dhruva Maharaj, as a king and ideal Kshatriya, performed many such sacrifices, giving very liberally in charity. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are supposed to earn their money and accumulate great riches. Sometimes they do it by acting sinfully. Kshatriyas are meant to rule over a country. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, in the course of ruling, had to fight and kill many yakshas. Such action is necessary for Kshatriyas. A Kshatriya should not be a coward, and he should not be nonviolent. To rule over the country, he has to act violently. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are therefore especially advised to give in charity at least 50% of their accumulated wealth. In Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that even though one enters the renounced order of life, he still cannot give up the performance of yajna, dhan, and tapasya. They are never to be given up. Tapasya is meant for the renounced order of life. Those who are retired from worldly activities should perform tapasya, penances, and austerities. Those who are in the material world, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, must give charity. Brahmacharis in the beginning of their lives should perform different kinds of yajnas. Dhruva Maharaj is an ideal king, practically emptied his treasury by giving charity. A king is not meant simply to realize taxes from the citizens and accumulate wealth to spend in sense gratification. World monarchy has failed ever since kings began to satisfy their personal senses with the taxes accumulated from the citizens. Of course, whether system is monarchy or democracy, the same corruption is still going on. Hare Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj, as an ideal king, practically emptied his treasury by giving charity. A king is not meant simply to realize taxes from the citizens and accumulate wealth to spend in sense gratification. World monarchy has failed ever since kings began to satisfy their personal senses with the taxes accumulated from the citizens. Of course, whether the system is monarchy or democracy, the same corruption is still going on. At the present moment, there are different parties in the democratic government. but everyone is busy trying to keep his post or trying to keep his political party in power. The politicians have very little time to think of the welfare of their citizens, whom they oppress with heavy taxes in the form of income tax, sale tax, and many other taxes. People sometimes have 80 to 90% of their income taken away, and these taxes are lavishly spent for the high salaries drawn by the officers and rulers. Formerly, the taxes accumulated from the citizens were spent for performing great sacrifices, as enjoined in the Vedic literature. At the present moment, however, almost all forms of sacrifice are not at all possible. Therefore, it is recommended in the Shastras that people should perform Sankirtan Yajna. Any householder, regardless of his position, can perform this Sankirtan Yajna without expenditure. All the family members can sit down together and simply clap their hands and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Somehow or other, everyone can manage to perform such a yajna and distribute prasad to the people in general. That is quite sufficient for this age of Kali. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra at every moment, as much as possible, both inside and outside of the temples, and as far as possible distribute prasad. This process can be accelerated with the cooperation of state administrators and those who are producing the country's wealth. Simply by liberal distribution of prasad and sankirtan, the whole world can become peaceful and prosperous. Generally, in all of the material sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature, there are offerings to the demigods. This demigod worship is especially meant for the less intelligent men. Actually, the result of such sacrifices goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. He is actually the enjoyer of all sacrifices. His name, therefore, is Yajna Purusha. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a great devotee and had nothing to do with these sacrifices, to set an example to his people, he performed many sacrifices and gave all his wealth in charity. For as long as he lived as a householder, he never spent a farthing for his sense gratification. In this verse, the word karma phala pradam is very significant. The Lord awards everyone different kinds of karma as the individual living entities desire. He is the super soul present within the heart of everyone, and he is so kind and liberal that he gives everyone full facilities to perform whatever acts one wants. Then the result of the action is also enjoyed by the living entity. If anyone wants to enjoy or lord it over material nature, the Lord gives him full facilities, but he becomes entangled in the resultant reactions. Similarly, if anyone wants to engage himself fully in devotional service, the Lord gives him full facilities, and the devotee enjoys the results. The Lord is therefore known as Karma Phala Prada. Text 11. Sarvatmanya chute sarve tivragam bhaktim udvaham tadharsatmani bhuteshu tam eva basti tam vibhum. Dhruva Maharaj rendered devotional service unto the Supreme, the reservoir of everything, with unrelenting force. While carrying out his devotional service to the Lord, he could see that everything is situated in him only, and that he is situated in all living entities. The Lord is called Achyuta because he never fails in his prime duty to give protection to his devotees. Purport. Not only did Dhruva Maharaj perform many sacrifices, but he carried on his transcendental occupation of engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. The ordinary karmis who want to enjoy the result or fruit of activities are concerned only with sacrifices and ritualistic ceremonies, as enjoined in the Vedic Shastras. Although Dhruva Maharaj performed many sacrifices in order to be an exemplary king, he was constantly engaged in devotional service. The Lord always protects his surrendered devotee. A devotee can see that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam pradedeshur junatistati. Ordinary persons cannot understand how the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, but a devotee can actually see him. Not only can the devotee see him outwardly, but he can see with spiritual vision that everything is resting in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Matstani Sarvabhutani. That is the vision of the Mahabhagavat. He sees everything others see, but instead of seeing merely the trees, the mountains, the cities, or the sky, he sees only his worshipable Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything, because everything is resting in him only. This is the vision of the Mahabhagavat. In summary, a Mahabhagavat, a highly elevated, pure devotee, sees the Lord everywhere, as well as within the heart of everyone. This is possible for devotees who have developed elevated devotional service to the Lord. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.38, Pramanjanam Chordita Bhakti Vilochanena. Only those who have smeared their eyes with the ointment of love of Godhead can see everywhere the Supreme Lord face to face. It is not possible by imagination or so-called meditation. And thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from text 12 on Friday. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Mahārāja ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. All
Jai.
glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham ki jai, Nrishangapali
Jai.
Dham ki jai, Mayapur
Jai.
Dham ki jai, Jagannath
Jai.
Puri Dham ki jai, Jagannath
Jai.
Baladev, Subhadra, Ju ki jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Vrindavan
Jai.
Dham ki jai, Giri Govardhan, Gupta Govardhan Dham ki jai, Sham
Jai.
Kund, Radha Kund ki jai, Tulsi Devi,
Jai.
Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Scientific
Jai.
Sankirtan Yagya ki jai,
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute ki jai, Sri Chaitanya
Jai.
Saraswat Institute ki jai, Sri Chaitanya
Jai.
Saraswat Mat ki jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Jai Srimati Uma Devi Dasi ki jai. Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Gurudev. श्रीपाद कृष्ण केशव प्रभु जी की जय। धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Dhanavad Siddhi. Hari Bol.